I never imagined my Cinderella moment would lead to a heartbreaking love triangle. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. My heart raced that night, pounding like a wild drum in my chest. As I slipped into the delicate blue gown, the fabric whispering secrets against my skin. The glow of the fairy lights surrounded me. I felt like a princess, ready to conquer the world. But little did I know, magic comes with shadows. Lucas, my childhood friend, stood at the edge of the crowd, his eyes shimmering with something I couldn't pinpoint. I had always thought of him as just that safe harbor in a stormy sea. But as he caught my gaze, an electric charge pulsed between us, sending shivers down my spine. I could smell the faint hint of his cologne, a sweet nostalgia mixed with something dangerously new. And then there was Ethan, the mysterious newcomer with the smirk that could topple kingdoms. He waltzed into my life like a whirlwind, leaving chaos in his wake. His laughter was intoxicating, like the promise of a wild adventure. When our paths crossed, the air changed. My skin tingled, and every shared glance felt like a daring challenge. I wanted him to like me, craved it deeper than any of my expectations could have prepared me for. You can feel that undercurrent of tension, right? The unspoken words, the looks shared across the room, the crowded space echoing with laughter and music. Yet all I could hear was my heartbeat screaming in my ears. I could sense the whispers around me, the judgments, the curious eyes. Friends, unaware of the emotional minefield beneath the surface. As the clock struck midnight, everything shifted. Lucas stepped closer, his hand almost brushing mine. I need to tell you something. His voice was low, barely rising above the cacophony. At that moment I felt weightless. But then, Ethan's laugh cut through, sharp and unforgiving, pulled me back to earth, a stark reminder of the complexity I found myself tangled in. Could I really choose? Do I have to? As I looked between their eager faces, my stomach twisted in knots. One side was sweet familiarity, the other thrilling danger. The room started spinning. My breaths became shallow. Was it too late to turn back? What would happen if I made the wrong choice? And just when I thought I'd found my footing, a shocking revelation pulled the rug out beneath me. The lights flickered ominously, plunging the room into darkness for a heartbeat. A voice cut through the silence, heavy with weight. You have no idea what you're stepping into, do you? Was it Lucas? Ethan? Was I even ready to face the truth that could shatter everything? My heart thundered in my chest. The silence screamed louder than any music. I could feel the walls closing in. I didn't answer. Couldn't. Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The weight of that voice lingered in the air, thick and suffocating. My heart raced with confusion as I pushed the shadows away from my thoughts. But they only crept back, whispering doubts into my mind. Who had spoken those words? What did they mean? It felt like every glance exchanged between Lucas and Ethan was suddenly charged with an unspoken tension. I could almost see the strings binding us all, fraying at the edges, threatening to snap. That I turned to Lucas, his face illuminated by the soft glow of the fairy lights, but his expression was solemn, as if he too sensed the coming storm. Are you okay? He asked, concern etching itself in his features. My heart swelled at his genuine worry, but the chaotic energy of the night had dulled any sweet reassurance I sought. To think so, I stammered, but my voice cracked like fragile glass. I needed clarity, perhaps even comfort, but clarity felt elusive as the darkness hovered beyond the flickering lights. From the corner of my eye, I caught Ethan leaning against a wall, his presence pulsating with confidence and danger. He looked unfazed, an amused smile playing on his lips as if he thrived on the chaos he'd caused. There was strength in his indifference, yet a shiver of uncertainty crawled up my spine. He was a wildfire, and I was the unsuspecting dry brush one spark away from being consumed. Then, as if to push me closer to my spiraling confusion, a night filled with laughter took a sharp turn. The music halted abruptly, replaced by the harsh sound of shattering glass. A couple had bumped into each other, spilling bubbling champagne everywhere. The festive atmosphere morphed into a hushed murmur. Confusion spread like wildfire, and I could feel eyes darting toward the incident. "Stay here," Lucas said quietly, taking a step back, and before I could respond, he was off to lend assistance. My heart fluttered at his protective instinct, but the moment felt fleeting, like grains of sand slipping from my fingers. Ethan approached. He leaned close enough that I could catch the fresh scent of mint on his breath, and his eyes sparkled with mischief. "Chaos is my specialty," he quipped, a devil-may-care grin stretching across his face. "Want to join?" I felt torn, as if my heart was hanging in a precarious balance. But deep down, a whisper of intrigue danced beneath my apprehension. "What do you mean?" I replied, my curiosity brimming despite the rising dread. "Everyone's waiting for a fairy tale to play out while I'm here to remind them it's a whole lot messier when you add a little spice." The way he said it made me feel alive, a thrill coursing through me, igniting a flame I wasn't sure I could tame. And then, perhaps as if sensing the tension ignite further, a hand landed on my shoulder strong and steady. It was Lucas again, having returned, a determined glint in his eyes. "I think we should get out for a moment, breathe." "You okay?" His concern was genuine, but I felt the pull of Ethan's wild charm tugging at my heart, whispering of untamed adventures on the edge of the unknown. The siren's call was intoxicating and terrifying all at once. "I'm fine," I managed, though I felt anything but that as I moved toward the entrance. I could sense both their eyes on me, each silently judging my next move. Beyond the safe confines of the room, outside in the cool night air, my mind raced with what-ifs and why-nots, just as I felt the burden of choice press down on my chest. Moments passed, and just as I stepped into the dim light outside, darkness swallowed the garden, punctuated with a few trembling stars. I felt unmoored. I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was at the start of something Hugean unfolding story brimming with both light and shadows. But before the weight of my emotions could settle, the voice returned, echoing ominously in my mind. The sense of dread deepened when I caught a glimpse of Ethan's face illuminated by the flickering lights. Now serious, intent. "There are things you don't know about us. Both of us. Things that could change everything you think you know." The chill that accompanied his words sprawled through my body, goosebumps prickling my skin. Suddenly, the air felt thick with secrets threatening to spill over, and instead of soothing warmth, dread pooled in my stomach. "What do you mean?" My heart lurched, caught between fear and a desperate need for answers. But before I could process, without warning, the gentle hum of music shifted back to a thunderous bass. The lights flickered again, this time one burned out completely, casting shadows that enveloped me. "Sarah." Lucas' voice broke through the mess of emotions, but in that very instant, Ethan leaned in closer. "You need to choose," he said softly, with a hint of urgency, "because the truth is more dangerous than you know." The weight of those words crashed around me, the reality of the moment pulling me, threading further into a tangled web of desire and danger. "Choose what?" I whispered back, my heart in a vice, and as our eyes locked, I felt all the weight of secrets and choices crashing down. A tidal wave of uncertainty threatening to consume me whole. "Choose wisely," was all he said before the musical chaos swept over us, drowning out everything with its rapid tempo, and the air thrummed with palpable tension as if the night itself held its breath. In that moment, I realized I was standing on the precipice of a revelation I wasn't sure I was ready for, clutching the frayed threads of my heart and hopes, knowing that whatever came next would either bind us together or tear us apart irreparably. I didn't just have to choose between them. It felt like I might have to choose between the safety of everything I'd ever known and the uncertainty of what awaited on the other side. The pounding music surged around me like waves crashing against a shore, its rhythm triggering an unraveling of thoughts within my mind. I felt torn, swept along in an undertow of emotions, each one battling for dominance: fear, desire, hope, and confusion swirling together like an unpredictable storm. As Ethan's intense gaze bore into me, an electrifying connection sparked between us. Yet my heart tugged toward Lucas' safe and reassuring presence. I took a hesitant step back, feeling the ground shift beneath me. "I don't understand what you're asking," I finally whispered, my voice scarcely audible over the thumping bass. Ethan's expression softened, pulling the mask of mischief aside for a moment. "It's not just about us. It's about you," he said, his voice low yet earnest. "Every choice you make now will echo into the future. This moment it's pivotal. I know it feels overwhelming, but you have a strength you haven't discovered yet. Don't let fear dictate your heart." I searched his eyes for clarity, but they held only a perplexing mixture of challenges and promises. A fleeting thought flashed. Was there something more profound in his reckless charm? Could he help me find that elusive strength within? "Sarah, come back." Lucas' voice cut through the haze, laced with urgency. He pushed through the throng of dancing bodies, concern etched in every line of his face. As he reached me, I felt a rush of warmth surge through my body, his very presence like sunlight breaking through a darkened sky. "You don't have to listen to him," Lucas stated firmly, though I could hear a tremor in his voice. "We can leave now, it'll drive you home. Away from all this." The promise in his words was comforting, offering me a reprieve from the chaos swirling around us. But the weight of Ethan's earlier claim clung to my thoughts. "But what if I need to know what he's talking about? What if—" The words caught in my throat, the stark reality of my indecision dawning on me. "Don't," Lucas started, but the pleading in my gaze forced him to pause. He took a deep breath, grounding himself. "If you think you need answers, let's just step aside for a moment." Before I realized it, our hands met, a tangle of warmth and urgency, as he gently led me away from the pulsing crowd and into the serene quiet of the garden. A cool breeze danced around us, calming my fraying nerves even as I felt the electric charge still linger from Ethan standing so close moments before. "Look, I know there's something going on between you and Ethan. I can see it," Lucas began, his voice gentle yet firm, the worry lacing his tone palpable. "But I care about you, Sarah. That's the truth. You don't need to entertain whatever darkness he's bringing into this." I opened my mouth, wanting to explain the flicker of curiosity that had ignited within me, but I was left speechless under the intensity of his gaze. The truth was, despite the chaos, I felt magnetic forces pulling me in both directions. "Lucas, I am not giving up on you. No matter what happens," Lucas interrupted, his grip tightening on my hand. "Just promise me you'll think about what's really at stake." As his words sank in, I felt a tear escape. The weight of my choices pressed down harder, and I was engulfed by the fragility of my current existence. I wasn't just trapped in a triangle of affection. I was spiraling into uncertainty that threatened to engulf my very being. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the garden's entrance. Ethan, his silhouette sharp against the glow of the lights. With an air of confidence, he strolled toward us, unbothered by the drug of tension that hung between all of us. "There you are," he said, casting a sidelong glance at Lucas. "Didn't I say we should talk?" "Not now," Lucas replied, stepping protectively in front of me, shielding me from the impending clash of words and emotions. But Ethan's voice was unfazed, and as he approached, the energy around us crackled. "You might want to hear this, Sarah, because there's something that changes everything about me, about Lucas, about you." This time, Lucas outwardly bristled, stepping closer to me, grounding me in his presence. "Whatever he says, don't let him manipulate you. We're leaving." Yet beneath the surface of his resolute facade, I sensed his own turmoil, desperation wrapped in protectiveness. I felt electric storm clouds gathering, the atmosphere pressing down on us with inevitable tension. "Sarah," Ethan's tone shifted as he met my gaze. "You deserve to know the truth, and it's time those secrets came to light." Before I could prepare myself for his revelation, his phone buzzed in his pocket. His eyes lingered on me, a flicker of regret flashing across his face before his expression turned steely. "You have to decide. And trust me, I've seen how much you're struggling." Just know, once I say this, there's no turning back. A shiver ran down my spine, pleading for me to retreat to the comfort of Lucas' warmth, but the other half of my heart yearned for the answers. I felt the wind pick up, my heart pounding against my chest in resistance as I choked on the words, "What do you know?" As the last syllable left my lips, Ethan's expression transformed. Everything. And there we stood, locked in a fragile triangle of hope and fear, letters of hearts and secrets waiting to be unveiled. The choice blurred by a realization that maybe I didn't just need clarity. I had stumbled into a deeper mysterious confrontation with fate that could change everything I thought I ever knew. The evening air grew heavier, thick with unspoken truths, and I shivered despite the warmth that still lingered from Lucas's hand. The garden seemed to shrink around us, the laughter and music fading into a haunting background hum. The moment felt suspended in time, where choices hung like ripe fruit on the verge of falling, waiting for a single breath to send them tumbling. "What do you mean, everything?" My voice was barely above a whisper, fearful yet curious, like a child peeking through a crack in the door of a forbidden room. Ethan's gaze flickered to Lucas for a split second, a silent challenge passing between them. "You deserve to know the truth about your family. About us." The mention of my family cut through the tension like a knife. "What do you know?" I repeated, my heart racing. Did he know something about my dad? My mother? About the secrets I had buried beneath layers of denial? Lucas glanced at me, his brow furrowed with concern. "You don't have to listen to him, Sarah. He could be lying just to draw you in to know," I said, my voice firmer now, a small vestige of that elusive strength Ethan had mentioned flickering to life within me. "If he knows something, I think I need to hear it." Ethan smiled, a mix of pity and admiration. "You are braver than you know. Your family isn't just ordinary. There's a legacy intertwined with darkness and light that's been passed down. It's time you learned your place within it." The wind rose again, swirling leaves around us, echoing the storm brewing in my mind. I felt torn, caught between the resonance of the secrets Ethan hinted at and the steadfastness of Lucas beside me. His concern palpable. "What are you talking about?" I asked, desperate for clarity. "What do you mean, my family isn't ordinary?" "Let's just say," Ethan continued, "there's more to this town than meets the eye. Legends, hidden truths about your lineage. Your parents were not just involved, they were central to this web of fate." His eyes gleamed with a strange intensity. "And you're the key to unlocking it." A knot twisted in my stomach, the implications hitting me like a wave. "What does that mean? Am I in danger?" "Danger?" Lucas interjected, self-assured yet anxious. "No one is touching you. I won't let that happen." He faced Ethan, anger simmering just beneath the surface. "You can't just throw ominous warnings around without backing them up with the truth." Ethan didn't flinch. "You think you can protect her from the truth, Lucas? From who she is? That's not how this works." His voice dropped lower, almost a whisper now, laced with sincerity. "Sarah needs to know what's at stake. You both need to be prepared for what's coming." Prepare for what? I felt a sense of unease creeping into the corners of my mind as my heart raced. The alluring thought of uncovering family secrets was overshadowed by the grim possibility that my life could tumble into chaos. To fight, to defend a legacy, to make choices you never imagined. Ethan's expression turned serious, a heaviness settling between us. "You could lose everything or gain more than you ever dreamed." Lucas stepped closer to me, shielding me from the uncertainty that lingered in the air. "We'll figure this out, whatever it is, together." But his fierce protectiveness seemed to waver as he spoke, the raw edge of fear bleeding into his tone. The fragility of our connection hung heavy. I wanted to grasp at the flickering light of hope in Lucas' eyes, but found myself tangled in the shadows cast by Ethan's words. "What do you want from me?" I asked Ethan, my voice trembling now, uncertainty clawing at my nerves. "What I want," he replied softly, "is for you to understand that you are stronger than you think and that the choices ahead won't just affect you, they'll ripple through everything and everyone around you." The weight of his statement lay heavy upon my shoulders, as if I had been chosen for a destiny I never asked for. I looked between them, uncertainty gnawing at my core, feeling lost in the maelstrom of emotions. Would I continue on this treacherous path toward clarity with Ethan, or retreat into the safety that Lucas represented? Just as the silence deepened, a sudden rush of movement caught my eye as a dark figure stepped into the garden's glow. My heart dropped as I recognized Hermie Mother, her face pale and drawn, eyes wide as if she had seen a ghost. "Sarah," she called, her voice tinged with panic. "You need to come home. Now." The reprimand struck me like a bolt of lightning, and I felt my equilibrium shatter. Whatever secrecy bound my family was suddenly drawn too close, revealing an impending crisis. Lucas' hold tightened further, a protective barrier against the unfolding storm. "What is going on?" I demanded, my pulse racing. "That's what I need to explain," she said, her gaze darting from Ethan to Lucas, her breath hitching. "We don't have time. It's not safe here. We're being watched." As dread pooled in my stomach, I felt the grip of fate tightening around me, the lines of love, loyalty, and bewilderment blurring into a dark tapestry. Each moment dragged me closer to a reckoning, and the horizon of my life shimmered with confusion and fear, casting haunting shadows on what lay ahead. And as the gravity of her words sank in, I realized this was the beginning of a fight not only to save my family, but to uncover the very essence of who I was meant to be. The air in the garden thickened, teeming with unexpressed emotions that buzzed around me like trapped fireflies. My mother's eyes, usually a comforting shade of warmth, mirrored a tempest of fear and urgency. "Mom, what's happening?" I pressed, my voice tinged with disbelief. The vibrant petals of flowers, the laughter of nearby guests, and the melodies of the evening faded into a distant memory as her frantic gaze pulled me into a reality I wasn't prepared to confront. "We have to go. Now," she insisted, her tone barely concealing the panic that simmered beneath the surface. "They found out about you." "Who? Found out what?" Each question dripped with dread, each answer lurking just out of reach as the weight of unknowing bore down on me heavier than before. Lucas shifted beside me, protective and alert, the warmth of his hand clenching onto mine as if to anchor me in this swirling chaos. "It's not safe. I can't explain everything here," my mother murmured, casting wary glances at Ethan and Lucas. "Let's just get home. We'll talk there." Ethan stepped forward, his presence formidable despite the uncertainty radiating from every angle. "You can't keep her in the dark about this, Martha. She deserves to know what's at stake." "You don't understand," my mother cut him off, desperation edging her words. "Time is against us." The intensity of the moment coiled tightly around my chest, and I felt the world jittering, spiraling as I struggled to comprehend the looming shadows that seemed to encroach upon our sanctuary. "Mom, please, I can't just leave. I need answers." The flicker of hope I had clung to began to dim, swallowed by the fear that pooled in my stomach. Ethan's words echoed in my mind. Why was I the key? Why couldn't I escape this increasingly tangled web? "Sarah," Lucas' voice was serene, yet urgent, breaking through to me like an anchor in a tempest. "We can figure this out together. Don't rush into this. I'll find a way to keep you safe." His eyes were intense, filled with a mixture of determination and something unnameable. And somewhere deep inside me, a flicker of comfort ignited. The kindness he extended felt like a lifeline in these stormy waters. But my mother's mounting panic pulled me from that moment. "Please, we need to go." Her insistence pierced through the balance of hope and resolve, threatening to unravel everything I held dear. With a swift movement, Ethan grasped my shoulder. "You have to listen to what I have to say, Sarah. It's not just about you anymore. This concerns everyone. There are forces at play you can't begin to imagine." "Enough!" My voice cut through the air, startling both men. I felt a sudden surge of defiance course through me, fueled by the storm within. "If we don't understand what's happening, how will we ever find a way forward?" Ethan's expression softened as he regarded me, unaware of the fierce storm rattling my core. "The truth isn't always a blessing, Sarah. Sometimes it reveals worse things than you can prepare for." Just then, a rustle caught my attention from the shadows of the garden. Moments later, a trio of figures emerged, their faces barely glimpsed in the dim light, but enough to recognize as familiar. My heart sank. The town's whispers had taken a tangible form, me so-called friends, drawn by curiosity, wide-eyed and eager. "What's going on?" one of them asked, and before I could answer, my mother pressed forward, her hand shooting up like a protective shield. "You need to leave. Now." Second, confusion danced across their faces, exchanging bewildered glances. They hesitated, torn between the thrill of something extraordinary unfolding and the sheer chaos unraveling at my feet. But instead of fleeing, they stepped closer, curiosity morphing to concern. "Is everything okay?" one of them ventured, glancing between my mother, Lucas, and Ethan. They sensed the tension, the air thickening with unsaid secrets and the notion that we were about to tumble blindly into an abyss. At that moment, Lucas' grip on my hand tightened, a silent acknowledgement of the precarious place we were both in. Sarah deserves to know the truth, and if they are here, they deserve to be included too. My heart raced, the impulse to protect us all tearing at my core. The space felt alive, charged with the potential for both disaster and clarity. Suddenly, I heard my mother's sharp intake of breath as she once again scanned the shadows, a flicker of something akin to fear crossing her face. "We're running out of time. We need to go in." In that instant, it happened. A loud crash echoed in the distance, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps, heavy, deliberate, and closing in fast. My blood ran cold. What was that? My whisper felt small against the oncoming storm. A smirk twisted on Ethan's face, laced with resolve, perhaps a mix of knowing and pity. "It's begun," he murmured, and in the heavy heart of that moment, a new wave of uncertainty swept over me. My mother stepped back, the composure she had maintained slipping slightly. "Get ready." In that split second, the true weight of my reality crystallized. Choices loomed like darkened silhouettes against blinding lights, and the ebb and flow of loyalty and survival strained beneath the surface as the shadows grew ever closer. The fight to uncover my family's truth had begun. Standing on the precipice of something monumental, I stood unprepared, my heart fracturing from the sheer weight of it all. And as the figures finally emerged from the dark, a revelation blazed through my mind, a question that slipped through even the chaos, cementing my fate into an eternal conflict that would change everything I once knew. Who among them might hold the key to my salvation or my downfall? The footsteps were now unmistakable, echoing like a heartbeat that quickened the air around us. I turned instinctively to my mother, whose face had drained of color. The tension among us escalated into a taut wire, ready to snap at a moment's notice. My friends stared wide-eyed, caught in the web of implications that unfolded before them, curiosity clawing at their chests as if pressing them to choose sides in a battle they didn't fully understand. "Who are they?" I whispered, feeling the tremor in my voice, my hands trying to grasp the fabric of a reality unraveling with every breath. "They're only the beginning," Ethan replied, scanning the surrounding darkness, his brows furrowed in focus. "If we don't move, their interest will draw more attention than we can handle." The tension in my mother's body radiated like heat off asphalt on a summer day, her earlier composure cracking just enough for desperation to seep through. "I can explain later. We must go." Her voice was taut, urgency elevating each syllable. "Wait," I cut in, the impulse rising up in me once again. "If they're coming for me, shouldn't we take a stand? Shouldn't we understand who they are?" "Not a chance, Sarah." Lucas interjected, his grip tight. "You don't know what they can do. We can't risk it." But as that sentiment washed over me, waves of frustration crashed into the depths of my resolve. "We have the right to stand and fight." I shot back, eyes darting to my friends, who stood silently, caught in a whirlwind of my emotions. "Look," one of them finally said, her voice steady yet laced with fear, "we didn't come here out of malicious intent." "What's happening? You can trust us, Sarah." Their sincerity thrust me momentarily from the spiraling abyss of panic, and for a brief moment, I was convinced they might help raise the veil of shadows surrounding this bizarre reality. As they stepped closer, their expressions reflected a blend of concern and confusion, and it struck me. They were here for me, but just as I felt the warmth of loyalty bloom between us, Another crashing sound reverberated, closer this time, rattling through my bones. The figures emerged from the shadows, 3 silhouettes distinct against the garden's lights. The air thickened, my breath hitching as they stepped into view. They looked somehow familiar yet twisted, almost haunting. One of them, a figure taller than the others, broke into a grin that was both disarming and chilling. "Nice little gathering you have here, Sarah," he said, his voice smooth yet dripping with disdain. "But you're not the only one with secrets. Get away from her." Lucas's shout broke through the charged atmosphere, his stance shifting closer to me, protective and powerful. The newcomer turned his gaze on Lucas, amusement flaring in his eyes. "Ah, so this is your knight in shining armor? How sweet." He leaned forward, as if scrutinizing me, his smirk fading into something far more sinister. But really, she should be listening to me, especially when every whisper in this town speaks of her true nature. True nature? I echoed, the words hanging like a specter, heavy and foreboding. "Yes," he replied, each syllable dripping with mockery. "She's not just anyone. Our dear Sarah here has a lineage that holds great power. One that some very interested parties are very eager to control." Unease gripped my heart as the weight of his words sank in, a tidal wave of implications crashing over me. My mother's gaze flickered, and I caught a glimpse of regret mixed with determination. She knew this conversation was inevitable, yet here we were staring into the abyss. "Let me guess," I interjected, voice trembling with anger and fear. "You know more about my family than I do." "Exactly." He laughed, the sound hollow and mocking. "The very knowledge that fuels our pursuit of you, Sarah. You're a treasure, and we've come to claim you." Fury ignited within me, fueled by every unanswered question reverberating through my mind. "You don't even know me. I'm not a pawn in your game. No," he replied smoothly, "but you will be whether you like it or not." His eyes glinted, an emotion flickering beneath the surface that I couldn't quite decipher. "But you've got choices, dear girl. Compliance or conflict. But don't kid yourself. Either way, you're entangled." The realization hit me like a storm. I stood at the precipice of a choice that could unravel or redefine everything. I had never felt more exposed. Yet within the chaos, I also sensed courage stirring. It was fleeting and fragile, but there nonetheless. "Enough," my mother shouted, stepping bravely into the fray. "I won't allow you to intimidate my daughter." In that moment, I saw the fierce warrior within her, the protector, willing to stand against the chaos threatening to envelop us all. The bond we shared surged forward, momentarily sustainable, yet the flicker of hope felt tenuous, skirting the edge of disaster as the 3 figures advanced closer, poised to enclose us in their grip. My heart raced with the weight of potential and dreaded realization. I turned to Lucas, desperation in my eyes. "What do we do?" But before he responded, another crash echoed, a sound from beyond the garden, a collision that unsettled every tree and spirit in the night. The air shifted, and for a moment, time paused, ushering in an electrifying silence unexpectedly shattered by a sudden, blinding light that lit up the darkness like a fallen star. And in that moment, I understood I was on the brink of something much larger than I had ever anticipated. My heart raced as I turned back to face the figures, fear etched on my features. The question of my identity and purpose rattled within me, wrapped up in impending conflict. Who would emerge unscathed when the storm finally broke? The blinding light enveloped us, casting long shadows that danced chaotically on the ground. I squinted into the brilliance, unable to comprehend the sudden break from darkness, the illumination contrasting sharply with the dread clawing at my insides. It felt as if time had suspended itself, sparking brief moments of clarity amidst the chaos. When the light dimmed, I found myself disoriented, the figures before me shifting like mirages in the wake of the sudden radiance. Moments passed before I could focus, but what I saw sent a chill down my spine. A new figure stood at the periphery, ethereal and striking, with glowing eyes that seemed to pierce through the fabric of reality itself. "Step back," the newcomer commanded, and his voice rolled over us like thunder. It drew the attention of the 3 figures who had intended to claim me. Intrigue flickered in their expressions, but more prominently, fear. Who are you? The tall figure snarled, vigilance coursing through his posture. My name is Dane. And I'm here for her, he said, nodding towards me. The air thickened with tension. This unexpected arrival ripped me from my daze, and my heart began to race anew, not just with fear, but with something confusingly akin to hope. As Dane stepped forward, I caught a glimpse of the fierce determination in his stance, a warrior's assurance that seemed to project safety, even amidst the looming threat. My mother tightened her grip around my waist, her heart racing against my own, but I could sense her willingness to support me through this uncertainty. I wanted to believe Dane was here for reason far beyond mere bravado. The dark figures shifted, exchanging glances that spoke volumes, an alliance unraveling in the face of the unexpected. You think you can just waltz in here and stake your claim? The tall figure shouted, anger rolling from him in waves. Yes, I thought, maybe a little assertiveness is precisely what I needed in this moment. I took a small step closer to Dane, compelled by an invisible force. What do you know about me? I demanded, my voice stronger than I felt. Dane's gaze locked onto mine, his deep, piercing eyes revealing a hint of concern that made my breath hitch. You have a power that you're unaware of, a legacy intricately tied to those shadows. They want to exploit it, he replied, gesturing at the dark figures menacingly. My legacy? I whispered, struggling to absorb the weight of his words. But who am I? Someone who can reclaim what they've stolen, he said. There was a warmth in his tone that comforted me even as the truth of our circumstances loomed heavy overhead. The tall figure scoffed, you're making a mistake, Dane. You don't know what you're dealing with. She's a risk. Or she could be the key to knocking you off your pedestal. Dane shot back, his confidence unwavering. As the exchange unfolded, I felt my resolve beginning to crystallize, but beneath it lingered a larger, looming uncertainty. Dane had brought an unexpected light, yet the shadows were circling. I turned to Lucas and Ethan, desperation flooding my voice as I asked, what are we going to do? Get ready, Ethan replied, stepping in front of me with unwavering determination. No matter what happens, we'll fight for you, Sarah. We will protect you. The declaration grounded me, igniting a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. Together, maybe we could face what was coming our way. I could feel the fragile bonds of trust weaving back together among us as the threat loomed closer. But before I could grasp the reality of our unity, the sun dipped below the horizon, releasing shadows that crept forth, thickening into an ominous force. The figures beside me readied themselves as the air crackled with electric tension, whispering of impending violence. In a surge of adrenaline, I kept my eyes on Dane. So what's next? If they come for you, we fight back. We make them see that your lineage isn't theirs to harness, he stated, unflinching. He turned back to face the towering figure, eyes ablaze with defiance. I've got your back, Sarah. Just don't lose hope. But as Dane's words resonated with me, the very shadows around us shuddered, and a bone-chilling laughter erupted from the tall figure. You really think you can protect her? You don't know the half of what she is. Who stands beside her isn't what makes her strong. It's what runs through her veins. A wave of realization crashed upon me, suffocating in its enormity. What ran through my veins? The pulse of my heartbeat raced in tandem with the rising tide of emotion. I could barely process the threat of betrayal and the imminent storm that awaited. Enough! My mother's voice rang out once more, fierce and unwavering as she stepped forward. You won't take her from Menet today. But just as her warning echoed in the air, an earth-shattering cry erupted from the garden, shaking the ground beneath us. Out of the shadows, something monstrous began to emerge, something that could consume us all. Panic rippled through the group, but amid the fear, I felt the stirring of ancient promises in my blood. The choice was mine, to run or to fight. And as I glanced back at my friends, a treacherous thought took root. Maybe, just maybe, I could stand firm against the destiny that lay before me. But in that moment of prospective courage, the ground gave way beneath our feet, a terrifying revelation that we were not alone, nor were we prepared for what would come next. My heart pounded as I whispered, "What now?" In the chaos that followed, I became acutely aware that my Cinderella moment was transforming into something far darker. A tangled fate that no fairy tale could contain. The shadows grew thicker, swallowing the last light of day, and the monstrous cry that echoed through the garden left a residue of dread in its wake. My heart thundered in my chest as I stood rooted, uncertainty ripping through my veins like acid. I could feel the instinctual pull of fear begging me to flee, to hide beneath the covers and escape the shadow of my looming fate. But as I looked around, I saw the determination on Ethan's face, a reflection of the resolve that flickered inside me, battling against every instinct to run. Beside him, Lucas stood tall, and even the fierce energy radiating from my mother did little to quell the rising tide of foreboding that threatened to overtake us all. "What is that?" I managed to choke out, my voice barely audible over the chaos unraveling around us. The air crackled with an unfriendly energy that seemed to coil around my limbs, heavy and suffocating. Dane's expression hardened as he turned toward the emerging creature, its form still obscured by the thickening darkness. "That's what they've sent an enforcer from the shadows. We need to act quickly," he urged, moving in front of me, instinctively shielding me from the impending threat, with the creature revealing itself a being sculpted of darkness. With twisted limbs and glowing eyes that glimmered like dying embers, I felt the last remnants of safety dissolving beneath the horror unfolding before us. My breath quickened as the realization hit. This was the embodiment of the very threat that Dane spoke of. A physical manifestation of everything I had tried to escape. Suddenly, in the midst of the chaos, a warmth bloomed in my chest, a flicker of surprising courage igniting my senses. The legacy Dane had mentioned, a power deep within me began to claw its way to the surface, demanding recognition. And yet, I felt paralyzed, stuck between fear and the promise of something greater. Ethan glanced back at me, his eyes shimmering with intensity. "You can't back down now, Sarah. You have to fight, and we're with you. Just remember what you're capable of." "Fight?" The word tumbled from my lips like a whisper caught in the wind. But something within me stirred, urging me to reclaim the destiny that seemed all too ready to consume me. Perhaps that spark would be enough to ignite the darkness looming. Just as Dane stepped into place beside Ethan, ready for battle. "I can do this," I murmured. The words hung in the air for a moment, a fragile promise I hadn't fully embraced until that very instant. As the creature charged forward, propelled by some unseen force of malevolence, something deep within me awakened. I felt the intertwining of my fate with the shadows, a strange harmony pulling at my very essence. But in that fleeting moment of resolve, a searing pain shot through my heart as I caught a glimpse of Dane, a fierce protector at my side. My breath hitched as an overwhelming realization crashed over me. I had become a pawn in an ancient game that we had barely begun to understand, and here I was, standing on the precipice of a heart-wrenching love triangle, one where loyalty and fear could tear everything apart. The creature lunged, its claws extending toward me, but as the world seemed to slow, I realized I had the power to embrace or repel the chaos. I could feel the warmth of Ethan's unwavering presence behind me, and the intensity of Dane's focus beside me, each one representing divergent paths that I would have to navigate in a world teetering on the edge of darkness. "Oh!" I screamed, my voice rising above the cacophony, and in that moment of desperation, I willed the shadows to pull back, to retreat. The ground trembled as energy surged from my core, rippling outward, sending forth a wave of force that struck the creature and knocked it back, if only momentarily. But the respite was short-lived, for as the creature writhed against my power, another shadow, even darker and more formless, slithered forth from the depths of the garden. My heart sank as recognition washed over me. It was another figure cloaked in darkness. And in that moment, I understood that the battle was only beginning. No longer just fighting for survival, I was grappling with the very fabric of my identity, one that intertwined beyond the precipice of love and friendship. The emotions swirling within me threatened to spill over as I noticed Dane's gaze lingering on me, something unspoken passing between us, while confusion swirled in Ethan's steadfast eyes, revealing the growing tension between our fragile alliances. "Sarah," my mother called, desperation cracking her voice as she fought to shield us from the chaos. "We need to get back. Now." "Not yet," I replied, newfound fierceness overtaking my uncertainty. "We can't let them win." I won't let them take me. And as I spoke the words, a surge of clarity washed over me, mingling confusion with purpose. In that emotional tornado, I stood torn between two connections, each a lifeline tethered to a different path, a glorious and heartbreaking revelation of individuality that I had yet to fully understand. Before I could process what would happen next, the ground quaked violently, tossing us to the side. In that shattering moment, I felt a shift that would forever alter the course of my destiny. A voice, a whisper woven with urgency and fervor, broke through the noise, echoing a warning. Get ready for what's coming, because this battle is just the beginning. The shadows closed in, and as a decision loomed heavy upon me, I could only brace myself for the earth-shaking consequences that my choice would bring. The world spun in a haze of noise and chaos. The garden teetered on the brink of destruction as shadows clashed violently. I felt the tremors rippling through the ground beneath my feet, every shake resonating with the conflict brewing not only around us but within me. The primal fear of losing everyone I held dear intertwined with the blossoming sense of power, a potent reminder that I was at a threshold, cradled between fear and strength as the fierce energy surged from my heart, pooling into an almost tangible force. A slice of light pierced through the darkness, illuminating a secluded part of the garden where old, gnarled trees stood sentinel. There, caught between the ancient roots, I glimpsed a flicker of movement, a reassuring presence amid the chaos. It was a shimmering butterfly, undeterred by the upheaval, fluttering gently as if beckoning me to gather my scattered thoughts. Ethan, his determination palpable, turned from the chaos to meet my gaze. Sarah, please, focus, he urged, his voice a lifeline pulling me back from the brink of panic. We need your strength. Strength? The word slipped from my lips like a hesitant prayer. Did I possess strength? Or was it merely a desire to escape this entanglement of shadows and mounting decisions that bound me here? The flicker of hope ignited by the butterfly danced in my chest, and with it came a realization that tethered me to this moment. Every heartbeat felt like a calling, urging me to rise above the circumstances that threatened to consume us. With an inhale, I centered myself, mind, body, and spirit melding into a singular focus. Suddenly, the shadows seemed less oppressive, the whispers dulling to a background hum rather than a cacophony of despair. And though the enforcer lunged again, I didn't simply recoil. Instead, I thrummed with purpose, a melody weaving through the air as power coiled around my fingertips, ready to be unleashed. Together, I declared, seeking solace in the unwavering trust woven between Ethan and Dane. Their footsteps fell in rhythm beside me, a heartbeat shared as we faced the enemy before us. Each participant in our trio represented a different melody in my heart, a song of loyalty and love twisted into something both beautiful and terrifying. Could I truly navigate the complicated tapestry of feelings that bound me to them? Two figures against the encroaching dread, an unlikely trio poised to confront the lurking nightmare, encapsulated the bittersweet complexities of my reality. The shadows, once blurry and menacing, began to shape into silhouettes less monstrous now, more like estranged relatives returning after a long time apart. Their intentions remained unclear, chilling my veins with each flicker of their forms. Yet within me, a flicker of warmth urged me to connect with the unknown. But as I prepared to release that latent energy, another figure emerged from the depths. The cloaked silhouette stood at the edge of the garden and, to my horror, the creature that had once menaced us drew back, retreating into the darkness as dread coiled in my stomach. This new being radiated a familiarity that unsettled. Might was the essence of someone I thought lost forever. Sarah, the figure crooned, voice silky yet layered with echoes of sorrow that sent chills racing down my spine. You've come so far. You don't need to fight this alone. Join me together, we can control the shadows. Recognition hit me with the force of a freight train. No, I whispered, backing away instinctively, the last embers of hope twitching in my chest. I had lost so much, and yet here stood a hauntingly beautiful redemption, ready to lure me back into depths I had fought to escape. You're supposed to be gone. I can't trust you. A cruel smile danced on their lips, an expression both familiar and foreign. You know the truth deep down. I'm only here to help you embrace your true self, to claim power that you've only begun to touch. But it requires taking a idea choice you must make. My breath quickened within me as Dane stepped forward. Protective gaze locked on the figure before us. Don't listen to. It's Sarah. This is a trick, but my vision flickered back to Ethan, standing only a breath away. The turmoil in his eyes mirrored my own, tangled shadows of desire and urgency. The weight of their gaze fell upon me. 3 destinies intertwined in a messy web from which there was no clear escape. The air thickened with tension, each moment stretching like an elastic band ready to snap, while the world around us collapsed into the silence of choice. Choose wisely, my dear, the figure taunted, voice wrapping around my heart like a warm, deceptive whisper. For each decision made creates echoes for those who love you. You cannot escape this choice forever. The ground trembled once more beneath me, not just with the conflict around us, but with the monumental power of my indecision. Love and loyalty were held hostage in this darkness alongside truths I wished I could unearth. And as I stood before 2 paths, both each a part of my soul, I could only feel the storm brewing within, an emotional confluence that begged to simmer over into chaos. Will you allow yourself to have it all? The figure continued, each word a seductive promise that gripped my heart and squeezed tightly. Or will you walk away into the light, casting away what could be yours for the asking? In that fractured second, the sky crackled and the shadows surged forward again, ready to overwhelm. The darkness became sharper, and the choice suddenly felt suffocating. As I braced for an oncoming wave of despair, I heard the fluttering wings of that butterfly once again, a reminder that in the heart of chaos, hope could always find a way to flutter back toward light. And then, just as I thought I found my footing, the ground beneath us shattered, ripping apart the reality I clung to. As I fell, a mad cacophony of whispers swept over me, drowning my thoughts and beckoning me to either embrace or flee from the shadows once and for all, leaving me dangling in a chasm between indifference and desperation, between love and heartbreak. The choice would haunt me forever if only I could grasp the moment before everything spiraled beyond my control. As the shards of the past rained down around me, the darkness seemed to pulse with an almost sentient hunger. I was suspended in this terrifying liminal space, each memory crashing against me like a relentless tide, forcing me to confront the fragments of myself I had tried to shield from view. With every heart-wrenching whisper of the figures calling from beyond the shadows, I could feel their pull, an intoxicating reverie that promised a power I had yet to comprehend. Sarah. Lucas' voice broke through the cacophony, raw with urgency. His eyes searched mine, pleading, grounding me in the chaos that threatened to unravel everything. I swallowed hard, my heart vehemently thudding against the cage of my ribs. I don't want to lose anyone, I gasped, my eyes darting between Lucas and Ethan, both standing steadfast, ready to shield me from the encroaching darkness. But the familiar specter was at my heels, beckoning me with a sinister allure, exhibiting all the warmth I had once known and lost. You won't? Ethan stated firmly, his presence a solid anchor amidst the tempest. Trust us, Sarah. Trust yourself. Yet the voice of the figure danced through the air, sweet and laced with deceit. You know what must be done. Power awaits, you stop resisting, and together we can rewrite history. What is left to fear when so much is to gain? In that moment of chaos, light surged within me, a flickering flame igniting into a raging blaze. What did it mean to embrace power? What price had been exacted to us? I felt the churning of emotions, loyalty, fear, desire, but most importantly, the knowing that this choice would bind us together in ways deeper than the surface chaos suggested. But the throbbing darkness was swelling, spilling over as palpable figures began to close in, shrouded by uncertainty. In the face of those phantoms of my past, my heart shattered with every lingering piece of regret I had tried to bury. No, I shouted, a choice surging up from the depths of my being. I won't be defined by what you want from me. I refuse to let anyone dictate who I am or who I can become. As my voice broke through the murky haze, the world shifted. The shadows flinched, anger lacing the air, while I felt intertwined energies from Lucas and Ethan flow through me, lifting me as if buoyed by a chorus of unspoken resolve. The luminous butterfly flickered, a reminder of tenacity woven into every thread of my being. Standing there, I felt the mantle of my legacy stir, awakening the latent strength deep within me. It echoed, reverberating within every tear shed in confusion and longing. It resonated with the very essence of who I was, who I could be. I turned to the cloaked figure, summoning every ounce of conviction that flowed just below the surface. If you want to take something from me, you'll have to face me first. There it was, a momentous confrontation of intent. The figure's cruel smile morphed into contempt, as if they'd underestimated the very heart they sought to control. So be it. You'll regret this defiance. Even as dread rushed into the space, a profound stillness enveloped the garden, filled with an electric charge, as though the foundational truths of my lineage resonated throughout the air. I caught Luke's fiery gaze, then Ethan's fierce determination, each bolstering me to unravel the bonds of expectation in favor of carving my own destiny. And then chaos erupted, primal fury unleashed. The ground trembled as a fierce whirlwind blossomed behind me, and as shadows crashed together like waves against a cliff, the surge of power ignited like wildfire within my chest. In that luminous heartbeat, the shadows fluttered, pulsating with energy, as if drawn by an unseen force. They shrieked, caught off guard and frantic. And just like that, I opened myself to my birthright, allowing the currents of my legacy to flow unabated. As I reached inward, a shimmering aura enveloped me, solidifying my essence into something formidable. Glowing wings unfurled, a magnificent form bursting into existence, both astonishing and terrifying. The shadows recoiled, their chaotic energy stuttering against this newfound force. Together, I urged Lucas and Ethan, both stepping forward to carry the weight of this collective power. We are stronger than this darkness. With an undulating roar that reverberated through the souls present, the three of us surged forward, a whirlwind of light against the encroaching despair. In that monumental moment, amidst the chaos, I stood not just for myself but for everything these bonds encompassed. I felt the intertwining threads bind us, forming a brilliant tapestry of hope, love, and courage. The spirits of my ancestors surged through me, igniting power beyond comprehension. The shadows writhed, caught between the destruction of their own making and the brilliance of the light they'd tried to extinguish. They would not reflect my failures. Today was where I reclaimed every fragment of my spirit. As the chaos crescendoed into a tangible force, the shadows began to recede, fleeing before they were consumed by the brightness growing within me. I felt infinite possibilities coalescing, a future not bound by fear but illuminated by resilience. And as the dawn broke beyond the horizon, the first light streamed through the remnants of the darkness, casting waves of golden potential that danced against the chaos of the night. I choose to embrace my fate, I declared, feeling the weight of loss transformed into a fierce grace. In that proclamation, I found clarity amidst tangled emotions, my heart soaring as if the very stitches of my mythology were woven anew. Standing amidst the remnants of shadows past, I embraced the delicate threads of love shaped by sacrifice and choice. I turned to Lucas and Ethan, gratitude swelling within. Each of them reflected a piece of what I had become, and I was not alone. The memories would shape me but would never define me. As the first rays of sunlight cut across the garden, banishing the darkness away, I realized the threads that now tied us together were as complex, beautiful, and powerful as the very journey we had undertaken. In that moment, love blossomed, a fierce, earnest love resilient enough to transcend the dark. And as I faced my new reality, I whispered with a heart finally unshackled, together, we'll forge the tales yet to be written. And as we stepped forward into the bright new dawn, the weight of the past hung light upon us, illuminating a path marked by resilience, unbreakable bonds, and a future full of promise. For love, in all its beautiful, heartbreaking complexity, would always find a way.